So welcome to Unity Santa Fe Interspiritual Center, where we are a positive path for spiritual living, where we come together to remember and remind each other of our oneness and of these practical spiritual teachings that empower each one of us to create a more meaningful and abundant life. Of course, only to the degree that we're willing to actually be transformed by what we hear here and to make those changes in our lives that are keeping or blocking our meaningfulness and abundance. So today's message, ending, will support you ending your suffering. How would that be okay to end your suffering? I think so. I'll sign up for that. So this is the fifth message in our 7-week Adventures in Consciousness fall program based on Ralph Huber's writings, Living as Our Awakened Self. And I want to thank all of you who wore blue today for adding to the energy of the fifth chakra as we continue our ascent through these energy centers in the body. So this fifth chakra is called the throat chakra. And guess where it's located? Okay, no extra points for that one. So the throat chakra gives voice to the heart chakra, which was last week's chakra, and it controls our ability to communicate our personal power. You know, in Unity, we talk about the power of the word, and that's where the power of the word comes from. So this chakra allows us to express ourselves truly and clearly. And if it's blocked, then we have trouble finding the words to express how we truly feel. And it really is in alignment with today's message, because ending suffering also relates to communicating truly and clearly, because of the importance of using the power of the word to speak as our awakened self who knows no suffering, instead of from the ego, which just loves to be the victim of suffering. And I know that to the extent we embrace this message by putting feet on it, we are more fully living our vision, mission, and core values. And I invite us to affirm together, even though your microphone is muted. Unity Santa Fe is a welcoming interspiritual community that celebrates the oneness and divinity of all creation. Our mission is to raise consciousness, transform lives, heal the planet, one person at a time, beginning with me. And our Unity Santa Fe core values are God first, awareness, joy, love, appreciation, and humble surrender. So yay us for putting feet on this vision, this mission, and these core values in everything we think, say, and do.
Okay, thank you. And good morning, everyone. Let's begin by muting our microphones and affirming together our prayer for all creation. Together, surely the presence in this place and in all places and in all creation, knowing and accepting this, we behold the divine presence in all creation throughout the world without exception, knowing that there are many paths to God, many names for God, many faces of God, but only one God. And God is expressing as all creation in all ways, always. In this knowing, we come together this morning to experience and express our oneness and divinity, and for the wisdom to live this daily in everything we think, say, and do. We say, thank you, Divine Creator, that it is so, and so it is. Amen. We'll now have a minute of silence so you can bring to mind and heart those things for which you are grateful and also your prayer requests. And if you'd like to email your written blessings and prayer requests, you can do so to Brendalyn at unitysantafe.org. Today's daily word is remember. And although everyone's muted, I invite you to pray today's affirmation loud 3 times with real unity, zeal, and enthusiasm. I bless the people whose lives have touched mine. I bless the people whose lives have touched mine. I bless the people whose lives have touched mine.
Ooh, it's the middle of the night. I awake to the sound of my partner's harsh words directed to Spirit, our friend's canine companion, who is staying with us while my friend is out of town. My partner is disturbed and suffering because the sound of Spirit's toenails on the tile and jangling collar tags woke him up. When Spirit doesn't obey his demand to be quiet, he throws back the covers, gets out of bed, grabs Spirit by the collar, and drags him into the laundry room, admonishing him with every step. I feel my gut clenching as my body automatically moves itself into a fetal position, and my ears try to shut out the sound of my partner's voice, and my eyes imagine Spirit's confusion and innocence. My partner returns to the bedroom and says, "You're upset with me, aren't you?" I calmly say, "I don't know. I need to be present to what I'm feeling for a few moments." I bring my focus to my clenched gut and observe the tightness. I recognize the fear under the tightness, and immediately a scene comes to mind, a memory. I am 10 years old, and we have a new Cocker Spaniel puppy that I named Dobie. He is about 12 weeks old and crying for the mother he has been separated from. After his yelling at the puppy hasn't stopped her incessant crying, my father, in a drunken rage, comes into my room and beats her with his belt. I am powerless to protect her. I am terrified for her and for me. Ah, that's the button my partner has pushed. A button that he didn't install. I feel the terror I was unable to express as a frightened 10-year-old. I feel the fear. I feel sadness and compassion for that little girl who was unable to ask for or be comforted by parents who were emotionally unavailable. As I quantumously observe this scene from the past and my present day feelings, I allow all the feelings to wash over me and through me. And I experience the peace that passes understanding, that comes with acknowledging and accepting what is. While I didn't condone my partner's treatment of Spirit, I calmly tell my partner the story underlying my upset without making any demands of him, without making him wrong. Our Adventures in Consciousness affirmation this week is, I end my suffering. I end my suffering. So if you're willing to put feet on this affirmation, I invite you to affirm it. I end my suffering. So this message today, my heart's desire, is that will support you in ending your suffering if you're willing to end your suffering. This is the 5th message in our 7-week Adventures in Consciousness Fall program based on Ralph Huber's writings, Living as Our Awakened Self. And my purpose is to support you ending your suffering, because the human condition that today's message addresses is suffering. What we resist persists. And the spiritual solution that's always there is ending your suffering. I like to say, what we face and embrace falls away. So what would be in it for you if you quit suffering? Imagine shifting from suffering to peace. Imagine shifting from being a victim to being a victor. Imagine ending your suffering being easy. Well, we have some little noise in the background. That's Paloma. She has a collar on, and so she's making a little bit of noise here, but we just love her just as she is. So imagine your suffering, imagine ending your suffering. Imagine facing and embracing your suffering and allowing it to fall away on its own with effortless ease and grace. In his writings, Ralph quotes Michael Misita, I guess it is, who said, "Look deeply and you will see that the only time you are angry and unhappy is when things are not going the way you want them to be." Does anybody besides me resemble that remark? Let's face it, when we're angry and unhappy, that's suffering. And we're suffering because of the thoughts and feelings we give ourselves about something not being the way we want it to be. The Dalai Lama has probably been asked many times how he could remain at peace considering all the tragedy that befell him and Tibet. The fact that his country has been taken away from him doesn't mean he is going to let his peace be taken away. In other words, he's not suffering over his and the Tibetan people's losses. Is it painful? Absolutely. But he's not suffering. And he's not adding to the pain of the losses by being a victim of the Chinese government and Chairman Mao in particular. In fact, many of you have probably heard that when asked who is his greatest spiritual teacher, the Dalai Lama always says, Chairman Mao. That's a wonderful example of how not to suffer. The other story that Ralph includes in this week's section of the book is about the monk who in the 18th century in Japan was a poet named Ryokan. And he came home and found that a robber had entered his humble hut and stolen his few meager possessions. And in response, Ryokan wrote the following haiku. The thief left it behind, the moon at the window. Ryokan doesn't mention loss of his material possessions. Rather, he focuses on what he still has. He still has the moon that he can see from his window, which no one can take away, and which he holds as more precious than his stolen possessions. So Ralph wonders, and I wonder about the words you and I would write if all our possessions were stolen. Ralph suggests it might read something like this. That dastardly thief, he stole all my things. Why me, damn it? You're such a great poet, Ralph. So, getting ourselves caught in stories like this just adds self inflicted suffering to an already challenging situation. So, it's like, duh, why would I do that? Or, as Carolyn Doherty would say, what was I thinking? I recall coming home one afternoon and discovering that someone had broken into my condo and stole my laptop and most of my jewelry. Fortunately, I'm a unity minister and I have these spiritual principles. And I had just learned something called the Sedona Method. And man, did I put it to work. I've had to practice it continuously before I called the police and after I called the police, every time I felt suffering beginning to rise. And it went like this. I asked myself, what am I feeling? Vulnerability, fear, anger. Can I accept that I'm feeling this? Yeah, I can accept that. Can I imagine giving these feelings to my awakened self? Yes. Would I give these feelings to my awakened self? Sure. When? Now. Now, when I practice the Sedona method, I have to go through those questions at least 3 times. And each time I feel a shift in my um, energy. And usually after the third time, I feel peace. Now, that doesn't mean that 10 minutes later, the suffering doesn't rise again. So I do it again and again and again. And that's one of the reasons, as much as I love the Sedona method, this Ralph's 3-step process takes it even deeper. So I don't think it has to come up as often, because we not only acknowledge what is and accept what is and give it to our higher self, but we actually ask where it came from. And we get to shine that light on whatever might be in the shadow that we don't remember, that is making it all the more um, difficult for us to deal with. Tony Packer is also quoted by Ralph, and he or she said, "We suffer more from our stories than from the actual situation as it is." Now, ending suffering is not about numbing our emotions. It's about embracing our sadness, our anger, our disappointment, whatever other feelings we may have about a loss or other situation. Not acknowledging and expressing our emotions doesn't make them go away. Rather, they remain stored in the body. And in the Pali language, it's called sankharas. And my teacher, Goenkaji, called them gross solidified sensations that are stored in the cells and atoms of our body. And when we are able to acknowledge and just allow them to rise to the to the surface, we don't have to suffer anymore. Because I call these sankharas a gift that keeps on giving, and not the kind of gift I want, or I know the kind of gift, it's not the kind of gift you want. But when we allow them to, when we just observe them equanimously, neutrally, we're able to allow them to rise and be released. That's why so many times during a meditation, we have all these thoughts that come up. Well, they're coming up to be released. So we can just say, oh, look at that one. Or there might be one, as I've described in previous messages to you, that are really powerful. And they bring up something that we have repressed, and we need to feel that emotion at the time. So that's why meditation is such a powerful purification process. I recall asking a friend how he coped with not having a relationship and not knowing anything about his son, whom at 8 years old he gave up for adoption so that his son could enjoy the medical and other privileges of being a military dependent of his stepfather. And my friend's simple reply was, I don't think about him. Whoa, that's either textbook repression or something worse that I won't even speculate on. Really scary to just repress that type of emotion all those years.
Huh.
I'm happy to say that that friend now is back in relationship with his son, and that I played a little bit of a role in having that happen. Now, on the other hand, when we acknowledge and feel what we may characterize as negative, unwanted emotions, we experience what I call quantum spirituality. The very act of observing what is transforms it, and transforms it in a way that we can experience the pain, but not add suffering to the pain. Arjuna Arda is also quoted by Ralph. He said, it's natural for feelings to arise and fall. Just allow it all. So while numbing painful events and emotions leads to suffering of unconscious origins, the other way so many people deal with pain is by suffering, wailing and gnashing their teeth as they bemoan their victimhood to themselves, to whoever else will listen, and to a God out there whom they beseech to take it away as they chant the victim mantra, why me, why me, why me? Wow, can I have some wine with my cheese? There's another option. And that option is to welcome what is. You know, this is advanced spirituality. To welcome and fully experience and embrace the pain we're feeling. Mary Murkowski, a dear friend of the late Father Thomas Keating, created what she called the welcome prayer. And she suggests that we focus attention on wherever there is sensation in the body that's the root of our suffering, and just say, welcome, welcome, welcome. And you can even name it, welcome pain, welcome grief, welcome tension, welcome betrayal, whatever it might be. And then when you've welcomed it, say, I let go. I let go of this pain, this grief, this tension, this betrayal. And she even goes so far as to say, to pray, I let go my desire for security and survival. Wow. I let go my desire for esteem and affection. I let go my desire for power and control. I let go my desire to change the situation. Like I said, that's really master's degree or PhD level spirituality, but I know we're all up to it. So what we resist persists, and I like to say what we face and embrace falls away. And when it falls away, we experience what St. Paul called the peace that passes understanding. And each time that dark emotion resurfaces, we can lean again into it, again and again, as often as we need to, just like I did with my stolen computer and jewelry, and just experience facing, embracing, and the falling away as often as we need to. Ralph also included one of my favorite poems by Rumi in this week's chapter, and I like this translation by Coleman Barks. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, Treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. That's how to welcome, welcome, welcome. That's the way we can welcome and entertain them all, by using one of these processes, the Sedona Method, the welcome prayer, or this wonderful 3-step process included in Ralph's writings that really take it to a deeper level so that we can open ourselves to the blessing of our divine appointment with whatever is. That this 3-step process that we're working with during our series really takes us deeper because we're asking that question of what is this really about? And we're allowing the light of our inner wisdom to shine itself in the shadows of our unconscious and reveal what needs to be revealed, so what needs to be healed can be healed. You know, often a person or situation today pushes a button that was installed in our past. And that's why I like to say, hey, I may have pushed your button, but I didn't install it. So as we go through the 3-step process, we see how this person or situation is a messenger inviting us to be healed. Suzuki Roshi says, if something comes into your mind, let it come in and let it go out. It's only waves of your mind. And if you are not bothered by the waves, gradually they will become calmer and calmer. So yes, we let it come in, but we've also got to let it go out so it's not repressed. And we got to learn to surf those waves, you know? Let's go surfing now, you know? Let's just do it. Let's master these waves and not let them drown us. So the bottom line is we don't suffer because of a given situation. We suffer from the meaning that we give it and to the degree that we resist it. And if we're called to take action regarding the situation, we can take that action from our awakened consciousness rather than from victimhood consciousness. And that's what I tried to do. I took action. I called the police. You know, I filed a report. And it is interesting. My computer showed up at a what are they called? A drug house about 6 or 8 months later. By that time, I had already replaced it. I never got any of the jewelry back. But meanwhile, I didn't suffer. And that's what's most important to me. So Ralph's final musing in this section of his writing, he says, the perfect people and circumstances show up in my life in the perfect way and at the perfect time. No exceptions. I call them divine appointments, calling me to show up as my awakened self and thereby allowing everything to bless me. No exceptions. So how do we end our suffering? Well, you know it. First and foremost, prayer and meditation. So I invite you to prayerfully do the daily 3-step, the 3-step practice daily. And it's in the PDF of Ralph's writings, which is on our website. It's in the Soul Circle participant guide if you're in one of our soul circles. And this practice just works like magic in terms of shining that light on the shadow so that we can allow it to come up and be released and dissolve into the nothingness from which it came. And so throughout the day, when you catch yourself suffering, being a victim, say, only my ego suffers. My awakened self knows no suffering. And next Sunday, wear indigo. And that's any shade of denim is the easiest way to do it. And if you got a little bit of purple in there, that's even better. So as you wear indigo next week, you'll be adding to the fifth chakra or sixth chakra energy as we continue our ascent through the chakras. So I celebrate the end of suffering for you and for me. And let's begin doing that right now by being together in a sacred time of shared prayer. I've lost my ringing bell. Let me pull that around. That'll wake you up. Okay, so let's just take a moment to straighten the spine, relax the shoulders, relax the jaw, and settle into the present moment. Now bring your attention into your body and find rest and relaxation anywhere you sense it. Or you can create relaxation by relaxing any muscles that are tense, or just focusing on the feeling of rest and relaxation that comes with each exhale. And I invite you to practice feeling rest and relaxation as you hear the words of an excerpt of Ralph's poem that is a foundation for ending suffering. The poem is called Awaken. Let us rest in the perfect peace of who we truly are, beyond all appearances, all concepts, all notions of a separate self, beyond all stories of good or bad, right or wrong, praise or blame, loss or gain, and no belief that says life should be any different than life is. Why not then just relax in the mysterious, eternal knowing play of infinite awareness? The pure, unbridled awareness of indivisible love, where no problem can reside, neither lack nor worry, no story-rooted judgment or any suffering kind. For when we rest in absolute awareness, all thoughts that claim some life unfoldment is to us a disadvantage, we clearly see as misguided thinking. Absent of all illusory fear, all imposter guilt, now newly birthed, we live afresh in the perfect peace of oneness. This ineffable not two of oneness, who we truly are. And let's know this individually and collectively in a few minutes of silence. As we gently bring our attention back to our bodies, to this time and place, silently say, thank you, divine awakened self I am, for the wisdom to end my suffering, no matter what. Thank you, divine awakened self I am. Thank you, thank you, thank you that it is so, and so it is, and so I am. Amen. So I understand Catherine is the composer of this and the singer. Thank you, Brian and Catherine. Beautiful, beautiful. So I want to welcome all of our first timers on Facebook Live and in our Zoom Cyber Sanctuary. Just want you to know that we're so delighted you're with us. We hope that this message blessed your life, this service blessed your life as your presence here blesses ours. I invite you to email communications@unitysantafe.org if you'd like to be placed on our email list, and so you don't miss anything that's going on in our virtual world. And we invite you, I also invite you to get in touch with me directly by phone or email or text and set up a time where we can meet each other over the phone or over Zoom. Shine our light, shine our light. Okay, the choir did that much better. Okay, so I invite you to take your gift in your heart or in your hands and to really remember that when we meet in person, we have this love offering candle ceremony that's so great, candle lighting, and we all come to the front of the sanctuary. We light a candle to remember we are the light of the world. We place it in a bed of salt to remember we are salt of the earth, and we place our gifts in a basket on the altar. And although we haven't been doing this ceremony virtually, I think we should give it a try today. Karen encouraged me to do this, so invite you to give it a go. And just take a moment to visualize yourself going to the altar with your gift while you listen to As I Give, which is a video and song with Brian and Catherine. And just during the song, take a moment to either write the check you would have written in the sanctuary before placing it in the basket, or just click on the new give link so I don't get confused with donuts and donate. We have a give link that Tanya is posting, I believe, in the chat box right now. Or during the song, Tanya will post it.
As I give, so do I receive, joyfully, gratefully. As I give, so do I receive, fully, freely. God is a river where abundance flows. Stepping into it, I accept and know. As I give, so do I receive. As I give, so do I receive, offering my first and best. As I give, so do I receive, knowing how I've been blessed. God is a river where abundance flows. Stepping into it, I accept and know. As I give, so do I receive. As I give, so do I receive, back to where my soul is fed. As I give, so do I receive. Thank you for my daily bread. God is a river where abundance flows. Stepping into it, I accept and know. As I give, so do I receive. As I give, so do I receive.
Beautiful. So now let's pray together our love offering blessing. In a universe overflowing with unlimited abundance, all the needs of Unity Santa Fe and those we serve are bountifully met. From every direction, known and unknown, expected and unexpected, our abundant good comes to us now. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all I am, all I have, all I joyously give, and all I joyously receive. And so it is. anyway, if you go to our website, there's a big give button, and just pop that on, and it'll take you right to where you can to give in that way. And so whether you give by doing that, or whether you give through online banking, or you write a check and mail it, every gift you give makes a difference in keeping Unity Santa Fe virtually alive and well and thriving. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now let's pray together our prayer for protection. The light of God I am surrounds me. The love of God I am enfolds me. The power of God I am protects me. The presence of God I am watches over me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well.